Well, hello there, everybody. A little Hall and Oates, man. I gotta tell you what, saw him live at Red Rocks, man. Gilbert, you would know that. You remember back. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Gilbert, brother, send you out some love and much warmth, and you know, ex-wife, wife, they all shared a part in our life, and we just wish her the best on her journey. And brother, you're still among us, and I am thankful and grateful. Thank you for the friendship, dude. But yeah, all in Oates, man. Saw them with Sarah Houston opened up for them, and as Lynn and I were talking, she just absolutely blew the audience away. A lot of people were still filing in, and as she said that she had been fighting cancer, and I think, I'm not sure which kind, but cancer is still divided peace, curse. And that performance, because she passed over less than a couple of days later, but wow, it was as if she had poured her whole essence of everything into that time, and Hall and Oates came up and joined her. Anyway, I digress. So welcome, everybody. It's Happy Prosperity Day. Nothing missing, nothing broken, right? Yeah, it's prosperity, and much favor be upon us all. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of this. Thank you for hitting the like button. There's my number. So yeah, this is going to be a good broadcast. And thank you as well for just your support, your energy. I recently got an email from JD's channel, JD Temple 444, and the person said, wow, what a group you got in there. The person said they are genuinely kind. And I wrote back, I said, yeah, we love hanging out together. Skies above, are you? Deborah, how are you, my dear? Nina, good to see you. See you on Wednesday. Lost in Space, good to see you. Hello, Lilith. Good to see you, darling. Genetically Modified, how are you, hon? And thank you, and Bernadette and Joe Sapien. So welcome, everyone. Thank you. Got a lot to cover because, man, there's something going on. I mean, there used to be a time, and listen, I get it, the inundation of information 24/7. Our brains, our spirits were never made for that. I mean, the spirit was designed to have sabbaticals, times of rest where, you didn't have this, electromagnetic soup that we call Wi-Fi and all the other crap. But even with that, there is something yet permeating, and it's everywhere. It's in the most interesting vernaculars, nomenclatures, how people describe it. They're all describing the same thing. What's going on? Speaking of that, with Hall and Oates, that's a great one. I was just listening. What's going on? Marvin Gaye, wow. There was a talent that left us much too soon. But anyway, I digress because, I could sit here for the next hour and talk about music. Yeah, music is magic, man. It's casting the spell, as they would say. Fly me to the moon. Yeah, I still got Frank Sinatra in the back of my. Yes, I love Sinatra. I have all of his music, and I also have Benny Goodman. Yeah. I like Sinatra. What can I say? He was of that era, the Kroners, back there in the 30s, nearly 100 years ago. It was the dynamic of evolution of music. It was an expression, because I am still of that age, where I remember the Rat Pack, and they were the essence of cool. In a sense, the Rat Pack was kind of like, the Beatles, although the Beatles amplified in much more differently, but still, nonetheless, there you go. Brian, amazing. Yeah. So if you're ever in Las Vegas, and if you want to go to one of the best restaurants, I believe, I've ate there many times over the decades, Hugo Cellar, believe it's in the basement of the Four Queens. And it's still they used to, eat there. And Sammy even got to eat there. And, back in that era, it, was still the segregation, but, and they still got that same ambiance. And if you want a salad, like, really like a custom chef salad, that's the place. All their food is good. So anyway, there you go, Hugo Cellar, giving you a free plug. There you are. Skies above. Yeah, into this. Yeah. I have Frank Sinatra on my music. See, there you go. I mean, we're all here. I mean, Origin, good to see you. Welcome. And John, what's up, brother? Lori, hello. Brian, 1958. I tell you, I knew it. This is not coincidence, folks. It is just not coincidence. So, cold here today. Talking to the elementals, acknowledging them, speaking favor over them. I can only say it works for moi, my wife and I mean, in our home. Saturday was pretty interesting here. The storms out here, they do get a little intense, to say the least, and quite interesting when you go out and you speak to the elementals and you give favor to them and you ask them for favor. This has happened twice now where these line of storms are coming through and they get in our area and it's like, they just skip over and then they reform to the east of us. Then they kick their ass over there. But anyway, just something someone should listen here, give acknowledgement to it. So we're going to get right into it. Who's running our government? Are humans really running the show? When you look at what's going on, most people don't realize, and we're going to get into a lot of stuff. The United States Capitol on the House of Representatives side is a temple. People don't realize that. Now, if you're in a temple, you have protocol, you have rules, you have procedures, you have forum, you have, the whole bit. But you have to ask yourself, well, if it's a temple, then to which God is this temple made? Now, I did a show years ago where I got in, and I'll review it here, but it's really difficult to say that there is, I'll just say it, many people think, because Eisenhower put on the back of our dollar bill, "In God we trust," they never said which God. A lot of assumptions are made, and that's where we get ourselves always in a pickle. When you assume something, you know what it says. It makes an ass out of you and me. And so I looked at the choices. I said, all right, so what's going on? Is it controlled by Satanists, Luciferians? Now, most people think that they're one and the same. No, they're not. Just like all Christians are not Christians. What? And if it isn't being ruled, controlled by either Satan, Lucifer, the Christian God, whoever that God is, or is it another alien God? Has AI always enslaved us? I mean, if you believe in the reincarnation and the cyclical of things, it says that we have been here before, we have reached these pinnacles before, and it's always collapsed. But I thought, just for clarity's sake, that we would define what we're talking about. So allow me to go. I'm going to go over here for a second. There I am. And let me share this. So, here we go. And the wind cries Mary. Bum, bum, bum. All right, principles of Luciferianism. Now, this is interesting because most people have not a clue as to what a Luciferian is. It's not a Satanist. You'll get yourself in trouble on that one. All right, so this is a great website, learnreligions.com. Check it out. I like this one, how Catherine Bayer put this, and it's well stated. Luciferianism is not a defined religion, but rather a belief system that admires and venerates the characteristics and personality traits exhibited by Lucifer, as represented in the literature and the various books of the Hebrew Bible. Now, we got to stop right there. Catherine, you should have put this in there. First of all, Lucifer does not exist in the Hebrew Bible. Never has. Jerome inserted that into the book of Isaiah. It's a forgery. I don't know what the hell mushrooms Jerome was eating while he was in the cave there in Caesarea, but yeah. The arrogance of this one individual, and I've already done programs on it, is astounding because it's now held as conical belief. And it's not. So again, Lucifer has never been a part of the Hebrew belief system. I could dare say the Abrahamic belief systems. But anyway, we continue. Although Luciferianism is often confused with Satanism due to the fact that Satan is defined as a fallen Lucifer. See, not true. In reality, Luciferians do not worship Satan in any way and instead model themselves after the original Lucifer, a character of enlightenment, independence, and progressiveness. You know, we never asked the question, well, what was Jerome really thinking here? I mean, this dude was responsible for a number of forgeries that became canon and thus became part of a modern day belief system, all predicated on a forgery. Ain't that some shit? All right, let's get done here on it because this is important. It says the following list enumerates some of the principles by which Luciferians strive to live. Because if there is a group of men and women who have made this pact with themselves, bloodlines, the power, control, they in fact have modeled their life, culture, spirituality, belief system around this principle, this character, we ought to find out what is really the story instead of all the nonsense. So much bullshit on the internet. So, Lucifer, an illuminated being who chooses rather than idolize. Luciferianism is about the seeking of knowledge from both within and without. While many of practitioners do recognize Lucifer as an actual being, they envision him quite differently than the Christians do, and they are in no way dependent on him in the same way that followers of other religions regard their key figures. Luciferian models themselves after Lucifer purely by choice, not out of doctrine or expectation. Free to act, but accepting consequences. Luciferians believe that taboos and social expectations should not hamper one from achieving his or her goals. Society and your fellow humans may take issues with your choices, and you are expected to accept the consequences, within the Stoicism if you make poor decisions. Pursuit of wealth and living in prosperity. For Luciferians, wealth is not something to be ashamed of. You are encouraged to strive for success and enjoy the fruits of your labors. You are allowed and even encouraged to take pride in your accomplishments and to highlight them. Accept and glorify primordial carnal nature. Humans are both rational and physical, according to Luciferianism. One should not be ignored or degenerated in order to prioritize the other, and neither impulse should be denied as corrupt or sinful. Luciferians accept and delight in the so-called pleasures of the flesh. Cruelty has its place when it's warranted. Luciferians may be cruel and wrathful to those who have proven themselves worthy of being treated in such a way. Luciferianism holds that the behavior of others dictates how you should treat them. There is no burden to treat others better than they deserve through kindness, though kindness is not discouraged either. Conversion is not a goal. The Luciferian considers himself or herself as a member of an elite group of self-determined people, and he has no interest in converting others. Luciferians see no value in large numbers of like-minded believers who may have less than full dedication. The Luciferian path is one that people seek out through self-determination, not one that seeks followers. One of the things I will say I admire about Lucifer, I have never seen the being ever ask for worship, never seen it or seen it printed anywhere where this being has ever asked for prayer. Doesn't ask for your money. In fact, it does just the opposite. It'll show you how to get rich. Let me tell you, being broke sucks. Now, I know that people take on this spirituality is that less is more, Wayne. Yeah, all right, sure. But you know what? I have found in life that if I have to go somewhere, I would much rather go first class than in the cattle class. It sucks. Just saying. Anyway, acceptance of Abrahamic faiths. The Luciferian respects people of Abrahamic faiths and accepts their beliefs even while disagreeing with them. While Luciferians have nothing against Christians, Jews, Muslims, on a personal level, they disagree with what they see as subservience to a demanding and arbitrary God as practiced by those of the faith system. Get on your knees, boy. Learn how to pray. Prostrate yourself before the Lord God Almighty. Really? What kind of a God are you? Support and protect the natural world. Luciferians share some beliefs of New Age philosophies in their celebration and protection of the earth, Terra, and the natural world. They strongly disagree with some religious systems that see man's role as one which is entitled to freely use and abuse natural resources. Wow. Arts and sciences are equally cherished. Luciferians adhere to the Renaissance attitude when it comes to arts and sciences. Both creative expression and scientific exploration and understanding are regarded as equally important to mankind as a whole and to our individual personal development. Focus on the present day. Luciferians do not believe in the Abrahamic religion doctrine of an afterlife that is paid by suffering in the present life. Instead, it is believed that one should live for the present day and make the most of what is here and now. Happiness today is proof that good choices have been made, and there is no expectation that suffering today is necessary for happiness tomorrow. Boom, baby. Drop the mic and walk the fuck away. Entitlement is the ultimate goal. All knowledge is good. Ignorance, however, leads to all sorts of problems. hatred, lack of success, the inability to advance, etc. Unlike other belief systems in which faith plays a primary role, Luciferians celebrate knowledge of all types as the key to enlightenment and happiness in this life. Free will and personal responsibility are primary. Each person is responsible for their own fate, which is determined by his or her own talents and efforts. Finding ways around life's roadblock is an expected part of life for Luciferians, and overcoming them is cause for pride and happiness. They are also expected to accept any unhappiness that arrives due to the bad choices they make. Karma, baby. Skepticism is encouraged. Knowledge is regarded as fluid and subject to revision and change. Hence, the Luciferian is encouraged to keep an open mind and be willing to revive his or her ideas of what constitutes truth and understanding. All ideas should be tested for practicality before being adopted as truth, and circumstances may require former truths to be abandoned. Boom. Well, now, I think to say that I'm a Luciferian may be, imagine that. Because I know a lot of you listening to that say, well, so let's talk about Satanism, all right? Give me 1 second as I go up here. So it's going to require me to do that. That's cool. All right, so let's go over here. How y'all doing? Enjoying this? I am, because this is just some most interesting stuff. All right, so exploring the different branches of Satanism. Now, Satanism is much like Christianity. There's so many isms and so many schisms that it's hard to determine what ism it is. So, today, there are many branches of Satanism. In fact, modern Satanism is best considered an umbrella term for a wide variety of sets of beliefs and practices. The different belief systems reject Western moral laws, replacing them with a combination of a positive self-image and a decided lack of conformity. Satanic sects share 3 characteristics in common: an interest in magic, played out as a psychodrama or mystical events, the creation of a community which defines the roles of membership as somewhere between people who share a mythical pursuit to those who live according to a set of religious tenets, and a philosophy that thrives on non-conformity. Imagine that. That's what they called us back in the 70s, huh? Could you believe that? Radicals we were. Satanist branches and left-hand paths. Satanists themselves range from individuals who simply follow a self-centered philosophy to organized groups with meeting houses and scheduled events. There are many Satanist groups, the best known of which are the Church of Satan and the Temple of Set. They embrace a low level of hierarchical leadership and a loosely agreed upon and widely varied set of religious practices and beliefs. Satanists say they follow the left-hand paths, life ways which, unlike Wicca and Christianity, are focused on self-determination and the power of the self, rather than submitting to a superior force. While many Satanists do believe in a supernatural being, they see their relationship with that being as a more of a partnership than a mastery of a god over a subject. Below, you will find a list of 3 main styles of Satanist practice: reactive, theistic, and rationalistic Satanism. And afterwards, a sample of what are dozens of smaller sects, which are the idealistic pathways to enlightenment. Reactive Satanism. The term reactive Satanism or adolescent Satanism refers to groups of individuals who adapt the stories of mainstream religion but invert its value. Thus, Satan is still an evil god as defined in Christianity, but one to be worshipped rather than shunned and feared. In the 1980s, adolescent gangs combined inverted Christianity with romantic Gnostic elements inspired by black metal rock music and Christian sacred propaganda, role-playing games, and the horror imagery, and engaging in petty crime. In contrast, most modern rationalistic and esoteric Satanist groups are loosely organized with a set of moralities which explicitly focus on this world. Some may have a more transcendent spiritual dimension that might include the possibility of an afterlife. Such groups tend to be more exclusive, naturalistic, and all shun violence and criminal activities. Rationalistic Satanism, the Church of Satan. We all know about this. I've done enough shows on Entitlement. He is the modern author, creator, channeler of what is the Church of Satan, which, you know, if you believe in the First Amendment, the greatest thing that this country has done is that it's never recognized the First Amendment. If I have a choice of the freedom of religion, then the Church of Satan should have an equal place in the courts, should have an equal place in the legislature. To say not is you're a hypocrite. You're a liar. You are, by your very actions, a Satanist. You can see them all. Let's see, in the 60s, a highly secularized and atheistic type of Satanism arose under the direction of American author and occultist Anton Salvador LaVey. LaVey created the Satanic Bible, which remains the most readily available text on the Satanic religion. He also formed the Church of Satan, which is by far the most well-known and most public Satanic organization. Now, it needs to be brought out here for just historical fact. Modern day Christianity is not 2,000 years old. That is a myth. That is a lie. It's an illusion. Modern day Christianity is a new religion, less than 400 years old, depending on how you actually move the date of Protestantism and the arise of Protestantism. But because they could not survive on their own, well, they adapted the Catholicism God and such, but rearranged the practice. And we know that the Catholics, the Catholic Church, basically stole the Hebrew God, the Jewish God. Yeah. Oh, what a weave. What is it? What a web we weave when we first deceive. So LaVey is kind of like, you know, this, it's amazing to see how some 50 years later, how the church has become organized. It's recognized by the IRS. It is a tax exempt organization. And eventually it is going to hit the United States Supreme Court. Is the Baphomet allowed to be right next to any representation of the Christian beliefs? I mean, what are you afraid of? So then you have the theistic or the esoteric Satanism, the Temple of Set. In 1974, Michael Aquino, a member of the hierarchy of the Church of Satan, and Lilith Sinclair, a group leader, Grotto Master, from New Jersey, broke away from the Church of Satan on philosophical grounds and formed the splinter group, the Temple of Set. In the resulting theistic Satanism, practitioners recognize the existence of one or more supernatural beings. The major god, viewed as a father or older brother, is often called Satan, but some groups identify the leader as a version of the ancient Egyptian god Set. Set is a spiritual entity based on the ancient Egyptian notion of expier, translated as self-improvement or self self-creation. Wow. We could certainly meditate on that a while. My, self-improvement or self-creation? Regardless of the being or beings in charge, none of them resemble the Christian Satan. Instead, they are beings which have the same general qualities as the symbolic Satan: sexuality, pleasure, strength, and rebellion against Western morals. We've talked about Luciferians. And you know, when you really, let's just read what she says. Among the minor sects is Luciferianism, whose adherents see it as a separate branch of Satanism, which combine elements of rational and theistic forms. It is largely a theistic branch, although there are some who see Satan, called Lucifer, as symbolic rather than an actual being. Luciferians use the term Lucifer in its literal sense. The name means light bringer in Latin, rather than being a figure of challenge, rebellion, and sensuality. Lucifer is seen as a creature of enlightenment and the one who brings light out of the darkness. And that's the thing that has always, I could never understand as I became from a neophyte Christian to what they would call, you know, a more mature Christian. Then enlightenment came to me because I could never figure out decades ago, sitting under Kenneth Copeland and just a myriad of other of these heretics. I mean, that's what I see them today. And I'll show you why. That how can you vilify a being that by its very name is light? What is God? What is Jesus then? And why do the two share something? Allow me to just very quickly go over to, we'll get right back here, but I want to share this little tidbit that has always puzzled me. Now, this is the Latin, this is the Flaminius, this is the prayer to Lucifer. The Catholic Church, the Christian Church, you know, the Jesus cat. It says, and I've referenced this many times, I never get any challenges on it. Wonder why? It's flame alight, O Lucifer, the morning come. And he, I say, O Lucifer, who does not know the going down thereof? Christ, the Son, who, returning from the grave, human race, shed his peaceful light, and now lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen. What's going on here? Let's continue because we got more to cover. Let's go right back in where we left off. So, Lucifer is seen as this creature of enlightenment, the one who brings light out of darkness. Practitioners embrace the seeking of knowledge, delving into the darkness of mystery, and coming out better for it. They stress the balance of light and dark, and that each depends upon the other. Came to that conclusion a long time ago. You can't have one that wins in this realm of duality. Then it's no longer the realm of duality. Because if one wins, everyone loses. This realm evaporates. It ceases to exist. While Satanism revels in physical existence and Christianity focuses more on spirituality, Luciferians see their religion as one that seeks a balance of both the human existence and is an intersection of the two. Then you have the Anticosmic Satanism, also known as Chaos Gnosticism. This misanthropic Luciferian order and the Temple of the Black Light, the anti-cosmic Satanists believe that the cosmic order that was created by God is a fabrication, and behind that reality is an endless and formless chaos. Some of its practitioners, such as I think that is the Vexorert 221b and the John Novolt of the black metal band Dissection, are nihilists who would prefer that the world to return to its normal state of chaos. Well, made happen. Let's see, you have Transcendental Satanism, is a sect created by Matt the Lord Zane, adult video director, whose brand of Satanism came to him in a dream after taking LSD. Transcendental Satanists, seek a form of spiritual evolution with the end goal of each individual, a reunification with his or her inner satanic aspect. Adherents feel that the satanic aspect in life is a hidden part of the self that is separated from consciousness, and believers can find their way to that self by following an individually determined path. Sounds pretty new age to me. No, actually, I'd go all the way back into the Bible on this one and say the same thing. Let's see, demon Altery. Demon Altery is basically the worship of demons, but some sects see each demon as a separate force or energy that can be used to aid in the practitioner's rituals of magic. The book entitled Modern Demonolatry by S. Connolly lists well over 200 demons from a multitude of different religions, ancient and modern. Adherents choose to worship demons that mirror their own attributes or ones with whom they share a connection. Satanic Reds. Satanic Reds view Satan as a dark force that has existed since the beginning of time. Its major proponent, Tanji Jansang, claims a pro-Sanskrit history of the cult and believes that individuals must follow their own chakras to find their inner force. That inner force exists in everyone, and it is trying to evolve according to each individual's environment. The Reds is an explicit reference to socialism. Many Satanic Reds espouse the rights of workers to throw off their chains. Christian-based Duism and Polytheistic Satanism. Wow. A minor sect of Theistic Satanism reported by Satanist Diane Vera is one Christian-based duotheism. Its practitioners accept that there is an ongoing war between the Christian God and Satan, but unlike Christians, they support Satan. Vera says the sect is based on ancient Zoroastrianism beliefs about an internal conflict between good and evil. Another offshoot of Theistic Satanism is polytheistic groups such as the Church of Azazel, which reveres Satan as one of many gods. Woof! Holy cow, Batman. Who'd have ever thought? Well, I got to get going on anyway. So we have the Process Church of the Final Judgment, also known as the Process Church. The Process Church of the Final Judgment is a religious group established in London in the 1960s by two people who were ejected from the Church of Scientology. Together, Mary Ann McLean and Robert D. Grinston developed their own practices based on a pantheon of four gods known as the great gods of the universe. The four are Jehovah, Lucifer, Satan, and Christ, and none are evil. Instead, each exemplifies different patterns of human existence. Each member selects one or two of the four that is closest to their own personality. That's kind of cool, actually. Okay. Certainly dig that. Wow. Then we got Lovecraft's. Okay, that is just weird. So in this one, she does the comparison of how Luciferians differ from Satanists. To the uninitiated, Satanists and Luciferians are often considered to be one and the same thing. After all, Luciferians and Satanists, theistic as well as Levian and the antitheistic, both are named for the figure that traditional Christians regard as the devil, the embodiment of evil. But while the two groups do have a lot in common, Luciferians view themselves as quite separate from Satanists and by no means a subset. So, all right. I hope you have found this of interest. I did. Allow me to go up here. And as I go over here, there we go. Hey there, dude. Seeing yourself coming and going these days. Thanks for hitting the like button. All right. So I don't know too many places where you can actually get it spelled out there. All right. In all fairness now, because who's running our government? Is it evil or is it good? I haven't seen much good coming out of our government. So we're left to determine then what's going on here. If you're telling me that this so-called nation was founded after the Christian God, well, let's talk about that. I'm in my research, I brought this out under the Great Lie. So this is the Christian God. This is the Father God, according to Catholicism and according to Protestantism. So I thought it'd be interesting to, and this God calls itself Yahweh, Jehovah, the Father. But let's talk about this, because if the United States government is a Christian nation founded after the Christian God, then this nation was founded after a war god. And isn't it odd that this United States of America has never known a time of peace? This United States of America has always been at war. Always. Well, then that would then directly connect to the fact, why not? If you worship a god of war, you're going to be a nation of war. But let's see the indictment. The list of God, Yahweh's commands to humans to kill and murder other humans. It's a doctrine. It is embedded in the very tenets of the foundation of the religion itself. It is a blood religion. I have never found anything in any Luciferian sect, any Satanic sect, unless they put this in their own doing, but you cannot show me of old manuscripts where either of these beings ever asked any human to kill another human. But yet, here, we have a replete list. Genesis 6:6. This is the account of God saying he will murder all life because of his very action. It was his failing, not the Homo sapiens. I mean, he didn't even give us that much time. And this God was a genocidal God, wiped out, we don't know how many. But they were sinful. They were broken. Genesis 11:6, because of this intrusion, it resulted in the death of millions of Homo sapiens. Now, I leave the reference there for you. Go look it up yourself. Genesis 14, murder. Killing is now widespread. Even Abraham was a killer of sapiens. This is also the biggest oversight of the theologians, for in this passage it gives clues to yet a greater and longer-lived culture, the Sumerians, even for the Garden of Eden. And here's the thing. We can't find in the Sumerian record where Enki or Enlil ever required a blood sacrifice. But this God, who appeared nearly 2,000 years after those two gods, now all of a sudden we're getting into it. And if you think about the story, why would Abram begin to seek after an alien God? And when he found this God was a blood god. The first thing he did, he told Abram, he said, you slaughter a bull. And then you cut it in half, making sure that the entrails, the blood, is in the center, and you are to walk in the center of that. Whew. Of course, we know the story of the mass murder, Sodom and Gomorrah. Genesis, this is just in the book of Genesis. And here's Genesis 25. God hates Esau. How can this God be a God of love if this God hates humans? The sacrifice. And I like how the new modern faith movement in Hollywood is trying to come out and show that this is somehow holy. One human killing another human in the name of a God? I continue. The book of Exodus. This is what's really interesting. When God met Moses, it's interesting, it's right there. It said that this God, the Father God, the Christian God of Jesus, wanted to kill Moses. So wait a minute. How is this holy, sinless God suddenly have all this murder, this rage, this wrath within it? The plagues, whereabout the deaths of thousands of sapiens took place at the command of Yahweh. Yahweh murders more. Exodus 14, more sapiens. Exodus 17, Yahweh commands the murder of the Amalek race. Exodus 20, God reveals itself to its true nature. And this is really interesting because it says you shall not commit murder, but yet that's what it exactly says to do. We also find in Exodus 21 that slavery is condoned. Yeah. Exodus 22, the approval of murdering females. Yeah. Exodus 24, the initiation of the blood sacrifice. Yeah. Exodus 29, blood animal sacrifice is introduced. Well, how about the animal kingdom? I don't think that they did anything, but yet, look at this. I often found this one was really interesting. In Exodus 32:7, is because remember, is the Christian God the God of the United States? Is this what rules over the Senate and the House of Representatives? So in Exodus 32:7, this is odd because this is not quoted more. God said to Moses, "Go down for your people, whom you brought out of Egypt." This Yahweh makes no claim of these people, but implies and says that Moses is God. Exodus 32:14, this God, the Lord, turned from his evil. Wait a minute. How do you have a perfect God now splitting itself? Because it also, and this is way after Lucifer and Satan on the scene. And it just goes on and on and on. So, what's going on? I mean, if we can't be honest and begin to look at this as for what it is, then we're all doomed. Because we are driving right over the cliff. And I was in a place over the weekend, and I just shake my head, where they give prayer before, and it wasn't in a church. It was, I won't say what it is, and then I hear this, and God, save our country. We repent, forgive us. Bless our, and I'm listening to this stuff. Yet, these are the same yahoos that continue to vote over and over again and getting the same result, expecting a different result. That's insanity. Yeah. All right. I got one other thing that I want to bring out here as well. There is just so much that I want to show. I'll show this one here. So let me see. Yes, this is the right one. Give me 1 second. Only one thing's really clear. Things are not what they appear. It says, if love is the answer, why all the hate? Why is there no love? I'm telling you, I don't see it anywhere talked about in the news. I don't see it anywhere talked about any politician. No, it's division, hate, hate, hate. Well, again, I can't find where Lucifer really ever started this hate thing. 1984, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. So, I want to show you something. In 1792, Thomas Jefferson placed an advertisement announcing a capital architectural contest in a Philadelphia newspaper. Now, what they wanted to do when they were building this was to actually build a temple. It said the philosopher Jefferson, and he considered himself a philosopher, a classically educated man, like most of the founders, saw in temple designs like the Temple of the Sun, the Parthenon, and the Roman Pantheon a symbolism of democracy, science, and philosophical rescue. So this is what they envisioned, was this temple. Now, Jefferson, Washington, a lot of them realized that in order to make this thing work, that with their beliefs, which were very interesting, I would say that Jefferson may have been more of a Luciferian than probably most people would be willing to admit. In fact, I think a great deal of the founders were probably more Luciferian. Anyway, they wanted to build a temple. Now, this was originally one of the designs. The guy who won was Robert Woods. They called this the Temple of Justice and Faith. This is what the United States House of Representatives became. And you see the chambers. This is all occultism, folks. It's sacred geometry, the whole bit. And you can see each case, the way it was laid out, everything. This was another design. This is kind of what Jefferson was really looking at. I mean, it's just so interesting. And is this the Christian God? No, not really. It was a temple. And the proof of that is that if you've ever been inside the U.S. Capitol, we're told that this reflecting pond and the associated architecture of it, it was dedicated to the sun god Baal. People don't like hearing this. This came around, I think this was about 20 years ago, maybe less than that, when they actually had the Arch of Baal go around the world. Folks, it happened and no one paid attention to it. It went to the major cities, key power places on the planet. Why? It was bringing back an ancient deity, Baal himself, which may have been Yahweh. I don't know. One of the two. I've gotten into this. As you can see, it's all connected to Baal worship. It was in New York City. I mean, everywhere. So this is a temple. So I'm asking today, who is this temple dedicated to? Is the agenda that we're seeing manifesting in our world today, is this the result of an angry God? Is this the result of a new God? Is this the result of a dead God? I mean, something's going on. And if you look at this, it gets stranger. It's not what we have been taught. Washington is depicted as Zeus, Jesus. Yeah, Yeshua. Oh, people don't like this. Come on, folks. right there in front of us. The obelisk must be erected. Wherever you see one of these, we never asked. And the thing that always got me was what happened back in 2011. You know, the great earthquake that cracked the obelisk. Our justice adorned with the pantheon of the ancient gods. The Supreme Court building is a replica of a pagan temple. Again, this gets into it. You can see on the eastern entrance is a frieze sculpture of Herman McNeil, which depicts the three world's greatest lawgivers, Solomon, Moses, and Confucius. It just keeps on. So I'm just asking a simple question. So explain this one to me. This is Washington as God. There's these founding fathers that were part of that. They're part of the 12. Then, yeah, you got Poseidon there. You got these ancient goddesses and gods. I mean, and in the Capitol Rotunda, we've got Mars, the god of war. These drawings, if you study them. So the entrance to the U.S. Capitol building is the pagan god Mars. The Statue of Freedom. This is actually, I think it's actually depiction of Lilith. It could be, people don't want to hear that shit. But isn't it odd that you are to give homage to her? I mean, what are we dealing with here? Who have we pissed off? And you can say whatever you want, but I've been here and it's everywhere. It's the goddess Missouri. So, there's Zeus again. I'll see my time is coming here, so I'll exit out of here. But again, and I had even more, but there you go. I mean, again, I just asked the question, you know, who's controlling this? I got to go back and read the comments because I love the chat room here. So am I mistaken in this illusion? I mean, I was under this spell that there was this certain thing. Hold on one second, please. I have a puppy dog at my foot. So there we go. What the heck? It was a mosquito. Where did that mosquito come from? So I don't know. I found it interesting. I know this. I have a better definition of what each one of these different groups see. Choose who you will. Choose what you own. It's really up to you. But again, as I said, modern Christianity, and you can see the lack of influence if you look at this, because modern Christianity, again, came into existence right about the early 17th century. And right around 1615 there in the Protestant movement and what have you, was, you know, the schism, the bifurcation from the church. So thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Mark's 814. Appreciate that. Favor be to you. Thank you. I study and I respect all of you. Because, you know, people call me Luciferian. You serve, you know, you worship. I don't worship any god. Don't think a god wants to be worshiped. I mean, that's my question. Why would God want worshipers? For what? I mean, that's the epitome of a megomaniac ego. I mean, egomaniac? Yeah, there we go. It still works either way. So, Sounds like you stepped on the. I did not, Scotty. I did not. I did not. Hey, Twilight, how you doing? Anyway, I think this will really lend a lot to our discussion on Wednesday when we have JD and Uric and Nina. I mean, you can begin to see that, each one has a different path in how you look at it. But it's odd because deep in my spirit, in my soul, that was kind of that arriving, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. How could I even have thoughts like this? And then when I pursued the thoughts and really looked into the knowledge, and I'm going, holy crap. So I'm really confused. Who is driving the ship? Because I don't like the agenda. I don't think any of us do. And you look at the world, I'm going, well, maybe, and I'm just going to put it out there, maybe we should be calling Lucifer, realizing that the being in its essence, most likely does not exist, but it does exist because it exists in us. And if it exists in us, then my question is, if you've got a being that brings enlightenment, knowledge, light into a subject, what's wrong? What's wrong in saying, hey, come on in, got some great iced tea for you? So, yeah. Chris says, without ego, we're nothing. Yeah, but then how can you have two different egos? One saying that you're supposed to worship it, so that means you're supposed to be what? We step down our ego? I mean, my attitude is if they want to worship, they should come kiss my ass first and tell me why. It says, if you sacrifice to other gods, you will be destroyed. But I don't like sacrifice at all, ain't it? Then why did Solomon, how many bulls? It said that the blood ran from the temple for over 8 days. I don't know about you, man. That's a bloody mess. That's all I got to say. Okay, folks. Well, I hope you have found it interesting. Thank you for hitting the like button and let me know. I mean, I'm just asking a question for a friend. I mean, we've given the other cat the complete control of the stage, saying, man, you can be the maestro, the whole thing. And when we listen to the symphony being played, it sucks. No one's in tune. There isn't a sound that you can actually identify. So I think we need maybe a different conductor. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. New Yoda's today's destination has been reached. Until next time. There you go. Paul Joe, thank you all. Mary Wins, much love to you, darling. So Joyce, thank you. All right, folks, until we meet again, which will be tomorrow with Miss Trina, have yourselves a fantastic day. Yeah. Smile. That's the only thing I can say. So as the cowboys say,